Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the first episode of One Punch Man Season 2. So yeah, we are here for another Spring 2019 anime season preview reaction. If you don't know what that means, if you didn't watch the Fruits Basket one, what that means is that I'm going to check out the first episode of this. And I'm going to determine whether or not I want to, at least for the time being, continue reacting to the series on the channel. I will determine at some point whether or not I will end up waiting to put it into some slot on my normal weekly scheduled reactions, or if I'll just get to each episode whenever I can after it initially releases. And we'll just kind of go from there. But if I end up not liking it for whatever reason or thinking that it'd be better to watch on my own, then nothing to worry about. So yeah, today we got One Punch Man Season 2. And this has been a long time coming. The first season came out, what, 2015, I think? So it's been like, what, 3 years? No, 4 years, actually. 3 or 4, depending on the time of year in 2015 that it came out. But yeah, it's been a while, and there have been some less than enthusiastic reactions towards the trailer and stuff hyping up this season. Because initially people were excited when Season 2 was announced, but then it was announced that Madhouse would not be handling it. That it was going to another studio. And people were cautiously optimistic at that point. They had gone from hyped to cautiously optimistic. And then the trailer came out, and that cautious optimism dropped to uncertainty. And here's the thing. I was never on that bandwagon. For multiple reasons. One, a studio does not make an anime. I mean, a studio does literally make an anime, but an anime it does not live and survive by a single studio. Any studio could have made Death Note, and the story and characters would have still been there, even if the animation and art style was slightly different. And so on and so forth with any series. Yes, Madhouse made Season 1, and it was great. But I think the only real differences we're going to see with Season 2 are going to be the art style and animation are going to be slightly different. And maybe not as good. Doesn't mean the story won't be good. Doesn't mean the characters won't be good. Doesn't mean the comedy and action won't be good. Here's the thing. People way too often try to declare, like, anime superior if they have better animation and art. Like, the better the animation and art is, the better the anime is, and that's not always true. That's not, in fact, that's most of the time not true. Animation and art does not pretty much at all reflect on the quality of an anime series. I mean, there's nothing wrong with good animation and art. Good animation and art's fantastic. I remember the first time I saw that first episode of One Punch Man Season 1. It was really just amazing. It was a phenomenal start to the series and really got me hyped. It did. And the animation was part of the reason. But it was more for the actual character and story. I was more interested in that than I was in the animation, because that's more important. If you have bad characters and story, doesn't matter how good your animation is, it's ruined. There's no point to watching. Fate, for example, the Fate shows, Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, phenomenal animation, some of the best in all of anime. Phenomenal art, even. Horribly unlikable characters, and not in a good way. a really boring and uninteresting story. And that ruins those series for me. The point is that people are trying to say, have been acting like One Punch Man Season 2 is going to be shit just because the animation and art is going to be different and maybe not as good. People are acting like that would ruin the series. And I'm sorry, that's not how anything works. And it's irritated me this entire time. And honestly, the trailer was not bad. People have been calling it abysmal and shockingly terrible and stuff, but it wasn't a bad trailer. I do not understand what people were going on about with that. It was a good trailer. It got me hyped. But again, I'm focusing on the characters. I'm focusing on the story, not the art and animation. That doesn't matter to me. And again, good art and animation, great. That's awesome. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Hell, some of the most popular anime out there are absolutely terrible, let's be honest, in art style and animation. Neon Genesis Evangelion's art style is shit, let's be honest. It is just a really unlikable design for everything. To some degree, you could say it's kind of realistic looking, but it just doesn't look good. Especially the colors. Like, ugh. The colors just seem really muddy to me. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, one of my favorite anime, and is super popular. It doesn't have the best art style, no. No matter which version of, no matter which part of it. The art style's never been the appealing factor of that. It's always been about the characters and the stories and the ridiculous cliches that are so beautifully mocked and used in it. That's the appeal of JoJo. It's not the art. It's not the animation. Again, when the art and animation's good, it's great. That's awesome. But if that's what you're focusing on, and if you think that a show is going to be bad because of the art and animation not being top tier, then I don't see how you enjoy most of anything. I do not understand that kind of idea. It makes no logical sense. In my eyes, story and characters should always be first and foremost. Everything else, except, well, entertainment, of course, but everything else after story and characters is negligible. And so I'm excited for Season 2. Because I'm excited to see Saitama, to see Genos, to see Best Girl Tatsumaki. I'm excited to get to actually know more about Fubuki. Because, I mean, the most we saw of her was actually in one of the OVAs. Not even the first season itself. I want to see more of these other heroes. I want to see more villains. I want to get to meet Garo. The guy who was mentioned in Season 1 who worked under Bang. Or Silver Fang, or whatever you want to call him. And kind of just abandoned the dojo and all. I want to get to meet him, and I know he is coming in this season. I want to get to just see all of the ridiculous humor and just over-the-top jokes that they go for. And you know that's going to be in here. The only way I feel this will be bad is if the show itself, in terms of its writing, its direction, its characters, and the story itself takes some kind of weird left turn that completely deviates from the actual, like, manga. Like, to a massive degree. And here's the thing. That's not even guaranteed, because deviation from the source material does not automatically make something bad either. Which is another thing a lot of people need to learn. Deviation from source material does not equal shit. It just doesn't. But that would be the most possible cause of this, honestly, in my eyes, being bad. Or if just that part of the manga ends up being really, really bad in general, and in which case it's just like, okay, it had a good start, but it ends up becoming crap, which I really don't think it will be. That was definitely more applicable towards Mob Psycho, because even at the beginning, Mob Psycho was never really that great with season one. It was good, but that's about it. And then season two, it's like I hated where it went, but I understood how it got there. It didn't feel like a complete out of left field change. It did come across as kind of natural. Like, it's like, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand how they got to that point. One Punch Man, I could not see how it could get to a point like that. Let's put it that way. But anything can happen. I don't know what the story going forward is going to be. I don't know anything about Garo as a character other than, again, his connection to Silver Fang. I don't know if he's even going to be in there right away, if they're going to wait till, like, later on. I don't know, like, other enemies we're going to see. I don't know how common we're going to see characters like Moomin Rider or Tatsumaki or the other S-rank heroes we met in Season 1. I don't even know if Saitama is going to keep moving up in the ranks or if he's going to stay kind of stagnant for a while. There's a lot to take into consideration. But we'll just kind of have to see. I don't expect every villain to be stronger than Lord Boros from the end of Season 1. I think we are going to downgrade a bit and have some random smaller opponents as well, smaller monsters. Garo is probably going to be stronger than Boros. I definitely think that's probably going to happen. But I don't know how many others would be. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I don't think many other will be. I think they are going to bring it back down a little bit. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where we go with this. So we're just going to get on with it. And at the end, in my afterthoughts, I'll talk more about where I think this will go and what we're going to do going forward for the reactions. So, let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so, as I said, a single studio does not necessarily make or break an anime. And an anime changing studios for a different season won't kill it. No matter what the art style and animation might be like now, this was One Punch Man. This is the show that I did fall in love with Season 1. These are the characters I fell in love with, and even more new ones that we get to really learn about and develop throughout the season, like King. These are the stories. This is the action. Hell, the art and animation itself isn't bad at all. It's actually really damn good. And again, maybe it's not on the level that Season 1 was. Maybe it's not on the level of Madhouse's. Sure, I will give you that. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still very damn good. The appeal of One Punch Man was never the animation, though. It was the story. It was the characters. It was the comedy. It was the fact that it was parodying both superhero culture and shonen anime. And all of that is still there. Saitama is still Saitama. Genos is still Genos. All these characters that we've grown to love are still the same characters. The action is still great, for as little of it as we saw in this first episode. And the comedy is still great. And already it's made me fall in love with a character who, in the first season, I had really no opinion about because we didn't really have any focus on him. I already fell in love with King. He's just great. He's a gamer who's into not only some great action games, but also the cute dating sims. He's a hero without attempting to be, having been given all the credits for the actions of Saitama and probably others, and given this larger-than-life persona that is of no fault of his own. And he's just been too afraid to say anything. And most of the time, he's never even been in a fight. He's too afraid of monsters and enemies. He made up a lie about needing to use the restroom so he could have all of his power, just so he could go and cry and plan an escape. And it's like, I feel so bad for this dude. I just kind of want to hug him and play games with him, you know? And tell him it's all going to be all right. He's so cute and nice and scared, and it's like, you want him to be okay. You just gain this instant, likability for him. Because he's not a bad guy, and he's not just some random idiot or random coward. This is stuff that has been forced upon him and without any, excuse me, without any consent of his own, and without him having the courage to say anything against it, especially with so many people looking up to him. I feel really bad for this dude, and I really can't wait to see more of him. And I'm hoping that one day he can come into his own and start learning to be the hero that people see him as. Maybe Saitama can help him with that. Maybe he can work under Silver Fang. Learn some martial arts. I really have high hopes for him. But also in this episode, so we see Speed of Sound Sonic attending this rally that the Hero Organization is hosting. Because they've determined that the events with Lord Boros weren't the world-ending disaster proclaimed in the prophecy from Madame Shababwa, they're gathering everyone they can in order to prepare, just in case, because it could happen any time within the next 6 months. And so they're even gathering some villains, some bad guys, criminals, in order to cover all their bases. Anyone who can fight, anyone who has ability. And we see Sonic there, and he kind of maps this all out for them, for everyone there. Goes through all this information that he somehow obtained. And basically just said, you know what, fuck you guys, I don't care. I just want to find out more about Saitama. That's all he cares about right now. I like his outfits in this episode too. It's like it was really nice. Like I said during the reaction, I actually do think Sonic is pretty attractive. I do. I don't know why exactly. I mean, I just think he's hot. And that outfit definitely helped with that. But I can't wait to see more of him. I can't wait to see more of what he can do, and maybe even develop his powers a little bit. We also see a little bit of Fubuki. She's looking for Saitama as well, but for different reasons. I think I was kind of talking at the moment, so I think I missed something, but she probably wants to have him join the Blizzard Bunch, or whatever it's called. So it's probably something like that. I don't think he will, but he might work with her every now and again. He might be willing to do that much, at least. I guess we'll see. And yeah, I mean, most of this episode centered around King and Saitama, but there was also the B plot that did also focus on Genos. So Genos fought this robot who King was originally going to fight but ran away from. Genos fought him instead, and we see that the robot actually was a smaller robot inside basically a giant suit. So after coming out of the suit, we see that the smaller version actually is stronger, apparently, and has more range. But Genos uses, honestly, cunning tactics to be able to take it out at the cost of, to be completely fair, a lot of his body. And that's one thing Genos does a lot, it seems. He kind of goes devil may care into these battles and risks himself to accomplish all of this. And here's the thing. That's definitely extremely reckless, but he is a cyborg and can be continuously rebuilt. He's basically risking his life for the sake of others, to help others, and even in some cases to accomplish his goal of learning more about and finding the robot that rampaged, or cyborg that rampaged through his home and everything and killed his family. So he's doing he's doing it for some noble reasons. He's just he's taking things a little too far sometimes. And Dr. Kuseno points out that he's kind of got this angry side to him, this vengeful side to him that he needs to kind of rein under control. And so he even reminds Genos that it's like, if you find this cyborg, don't confront him. Call me. Reach out to me first. I've been fighting this. I've been fighting and searching for this guy longer than you have. This is my fight too. He's basically saying, just don't do this alone. Don't think you need to. Just rein things back a bit and trust in other people. And it's like, cool. Like, that's completely fair. And Genos agrees to it. And I think that he probably will, or at least will try, but he might also get out of control again and go too far and try to do it on his own. It's very possible. But either way, Saitama and King have now formed an acquaintanceship. I wouldn't call it a straight up friendship. They're acquaintances. And they're playing games together every now and again. Just playing games and hanging out. And Saitama is breaking controllers when he gets upset. Because Saitama. At least it's only controllers. With the amount of money King probably gets from the Hero Organization, he could buy a lot. I mean, heck, his apartment was utterly destroyed. So he had to get a new apartment. He had to get probably a new TV, game console, all of that stuff. So it's like, he's S-Class rank 7. He probably makes a shit ton of money. Like, he is probably super well off. Probably all of the S-Class heroes are, technically. I could completely believe it. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Heroes are paid for their work. And they are S-Class. They are the top of the top. As long as they're doing their work, they probably get paid. And considering Child Emperor has like all this kind of like technology and stuff, he probably needs to get paid just to be able to fund that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, there's probably a pretty good paycheck that comes with being S-Class. Not that like A-Class and all wouldn't either, but still. So yeah, Saitama apparently is B-Class, rank 23, I think it said. Let me check that real quick, just to be sure. I think that's what, Sonic, said and everything, when he was looking at the papers regarding it. I think I just passed it. Yes, that's Blizzard. I like Blizzard. It like passes between these two at this point, so I'm just trying to find the right moment. Yeah, and he apparently, I guess he climbed up to Class B after the events of the finale from Season 1. Yep, Class B rank 33, okay. Class B rank 33. So, yeah, because I remember him being Class C last time around in Season 1. So he definitely jumped up big time after the events of the Season 1 finale, which makes sense. So yeah, that was a pretty big jump. He's Class B now. I can dig that. But either way. So yeah, that's probably going to come into play too. I mentioned, like, I believe in my pre-thoughts of how I was wondering how, like, further he'd go with all of that, with the ranking stuff, how much he would rise. Well, he's already made a big jump, but that's kind of in between seasons, so I'm not going to count that. I want to see how much he's going to rise during the course of events. Now, one thing I'm wondering is the thing with Garo, is that going to end up being the prophecy, or is that not even going to be it? Is the prophecy thing going to be like the very last thing that happens in this series, like the final of final battles? Because if that ends up being the case, that means that pretty much this entire series, after that prophecy was made, would take place within the course of 6 months, which is a very short amount of time, all things considered. So I'm really interested to see exactly what they do with that. I guess we'll find out. As for reacting to this series going forward, yeah, I will be reacting to it. I kind of figured I would be already. This was one of those that I really just kind of assumed I would be. And, I mean, yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't at this point. I'm doing reactions, and yeah. So now this is the second series we've checked out this season that I will continue to react to. And as with Fruits Basket, I do not know how that's going to happen yet. If I'm going to put it into a slot somehow, or if it's going to be put into like just this own, like, whenever I can get to a slot, sort of like Star Versus. We'll figure that out by next week, though. Probably actually by the end of this week, because I want to figure out by the time episode 2 of Fruits Basket comes out. But we do have a couple other things to react to first, though, because we still have what's that other one called? I can never remember its name. Magmel of the Sea Blue. We're going to be checking that one out. And we have Carol and Tuesday. So that one is probably one I'm, like, really excited for. Carol and Tuesday. It's by, like, the director, I believe, of Cowboy Bebop, Shinichiro Watanabe. As I said in another video, I might have gotten that completely wrong. But the PV looked amazing, so I'm really excited for that. Either way, this was a great first episode. We are back in the world of One Punch Man, and it feels like we've never left. This is One Punch Man. I'm sorry, but animation and art style being different, that, like, fuck that. This is still One Punch Man in every way, in the important ways. So yeah, great first episode. But tell me in the comments below what you thought. What do you think of King? What do you think of his just personality and character? What do you think of what they're setting up with these villains working with the hero organization? And what do you think of what they're doing with Genos and the professor? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,